What's good? What's good? Willie PK, and we are back with another one. So recently, my algorithm has been expanding. A brother that goes by the name of Tykwondoe has recently reappeared in my feed, and I would consider him part of my pro-black empowerment space of YouTube, and he's been really going in on his self-improvement life coaching tip, and he has some really good things that I wanted to share with you guys. So without further ado, video by Tykwondoe After Hours. That's the name of his channel. You guys may remember him from chopping up the different clips of Duke Dennis and the Riz Science. I remember him from the Riz Science back in the day, probably a few years ago. But without further ado, Tykwondoe, your nervous system is ruining your life. This is a topic that, we like to talk about. I want to help you guys increase your personal awareness, help you take steps towards a more fulfilling life. But without further ado, let's get into it.
Recently, I feel like I came to the realization that I have the tendency to kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It's almost like I developed it as kind of like a survival technique in my that dynamic.
Pause.
Where
Pause. Speak like you'll forgive yourself for being wrong.
Heard you.
Now try again.
Dropping gems already.
Okay. So I definitely developed this as a survival technique. I'm the youngest of 4 siblings. I feel like in my family, I kind of saw a certain dynamic where I guess
kind of, man. Call it what it is. Do you believe what you're saying or not?
Yeah.
Do you trust what you're saying to be true to you or not?
Heard you.
You trust it to be true to you or not?
The new Kevin Samuels.
I do.
Not just because he's a brother, but
did you say I kind of do?
The cadence and everything.
I said I do.
I maybe do. You did. Right. My point is you did not. You did not say I kind of do. You said I do. I do is clear.
Yeah.
I do is clear. I do is decisive. There's no sparkly stuff in between it.
Right.
This is what it's like.
I do. I am.
To trust what you're saying, to take accountability for what you're saying,
in your own
and to
skin.
mean what
That's
you're
what he's
saying.
teaching.
It always comes out clearer. Forgive yourself for being wrong. Even if a family member busted in the room and said, "Nah, that nigga tripping, man. That's a lie. It's your experience. It's your perspective. Speak from it with authenticity. Believe it. It'll change how you talk. You won't try to say kinda. All that kinda shit is beating around the bush because what you're saying is making you uncomfortable. So because what you're saying is making you uncomfortable, you have to try to fluff it up. Call it like it is. It's okay to be wrong, to say it, to come off offensive. Call it like it is. Try again.
Where I'm gonna speak my truth. I developed the habit of catering to everybody's needs in a sense because I saw a dynamic where like a certain love or a certain care was conditional. And I felt like what I had to do was like catering to everybody's needs so that one, I could keep everybody together, like keep the family unit together.
Keep going.
And keep receiving that love from the people in my family.
Period. That's the end of the sentence. That's the end of that paragraph. I'm so proud of you, dog. You dropped every filler, kinda, like. I think there was a like or two in there. But you dropped all that shit. You didn't stutter. You didn't skip a beat. Because it came from in here. And you let it come out. I had to teach myself to stop being afraid of what I mean, afraid of what I feel, to create safety in my own body, to stand on what I think, what I feel, my perspective, and my voice. Only when I was uncomfortable with the truth inside of me did I stutter, did I hesitate, did I fear the reaction of what I was going to say,
These
or
are
did I
gems even for
avoid
you developing your
just saying it
personality
like it is?
for your YouTube
Because it
game.
made me afraid, it made me uncomfortable, but the truth
Pay
never
attention.
moved. So as long as I kept avoiding it, it was going to keep getting complicated, foggy, convoluted, all these filler words like I'll call it, tell it like it is. Now what were you about to say next?
That's facts. I definitely have a problem with the filler words, the ums, the likes,
No,
and that's something I need to work on.
the more, see, listen, this shit comes from your nervous system.
No, bro, my nervous system
It's the
fucked up.
same, listen, it's the same reason people avoid eye contact when they are looking at.
So your nervous system, right? There was another recent video by an Asian creator. His name's Ryan Mack or Mock, however he says his name. It's a great video breakdown about reclaiming your nervous system and how to reset, basically the part of ourselves that gets us to self-sabotage and pay attention to the fight or the flight instead of the cognizant decisions that we're trying to make to step forward. That whole concept of 2 steps forward, but 3 steps back. Because once you get to the threshold of unknown, your nervous system seeks to comfort and regulate you instead of learning that new normal. So that's one of the reasons why too, when you're trying to do something more and do something different, the small and steady increase is what's going to do the lasting change. Because as you create that new normal, slowly but steadily, you find that everything is different, but it's not all at once, because the shock to the system will more times than few have you sequestering back to the old normal, and then you find yourself wondering why you can't embrace the fullness of the vision that you have. It's because you have to step into it step by step. But let's continue with what Taekwondo is saying.
A stranger, because it's a potential threat. Then they fear the threat, or they avoid the threat, or they avoid the fear and avoid the eye contact. The eye contact itself is just eye contact. But you convince yourself to be afraid of it, to avoid it, and you reason and convince yourself to trust that fear more than being comfortable in your own body. It's okay. Knowing it's okay is more powerful. Knowing it's okay because you trust yourself. Not to be perfect, not to do the right thing all the time, or not to even beat the other person up. But knowing it's okay because you have your back and you trust how you feel will settle your nervous system in a way that being perfect and being safe cannot guarantee. You have to ensure safety in your own body, in your own feelings, in your own self, so you can execute and express what is already there and it can flow out of you. Not try to block it, close it off, try to make it softer than what it is, try to dampen it. What's the softest way an elephant can fall on you?
Hard as shit.
it will always weigh 2 tons. It will always be 2,000 pounds or 4,000. I don't know how much elephants weigh. I'm not a dictionary or I don't know. It will always be heavy as shit. That's your inner truth. Stop making an elephant tiptoe. It will never be soft. It will never be weak. If somebody reacts uncomfortably, if somebody reacts and it's the shit you afraid of, if they get offended, angry, sad, mad, happy, they are also allowed to feel that way. Just as much as you are allowed to feel your truth. An elephant will never be light. I get this from conversations I've had with my parents where I've hesitated to tell them how I feel or what I'm thinking. And I bit my tongue. And I didn't express myself clearly because it made me uncomfortable emotionally. It was tense. It was easier not to speak up or not to tell it like it is. But that elephant never went anywhere. And where do you think the weight of that elephant goes?
I hold on to that.
On you.
Yeah.
I even think about that sometimes because when I compare my relationship with, my parents and stuff like that compared to both of my siblings, if I was looking at it too critically, I would think that, or not even think, but I can identify with struggling to voice my true opinion and instead of catering to the easiest route, just being authentic and really, and I guess, as I embrace that, that will even translate to this, not being scared to say what I think or share any experiences because it just is what they are. And that's what's going to add the spice to our conversation, between me and you guys. But what are your guys' experience with this? Like, have you guys struggled with people pleasing, or do you struggle with feeling insignificant to where you mute yourself? That's only doing you a disservice. Let me know in the comments.
Your conscience, brother.
Where I noticed that I started to take on like the weight of everybody else's feelings and emotions as a way of mending the family and trying to keep it together. And as I grow older, I'm seeing that that's a habit that I'm taking into other relationships of people I care about. And while I still want to show people that I care, I'm growing and I'm seeing that it's not sustainable. It's a dynamic that I have to grow out of to get to where I'm headed. And I feel like I'm in a place of just
Let's say he's holding his throat when he
my loved
speaks.
ones feeling so long.
But
I
I
don't
think,
even know how to like cater to my own in a certain sense. And that's something that I'm trying to figure out.
I think it's interesting how he kind of got the young man to slow down and not consider, because you can't necessarily think about what you're like, even while we're doing this, you can't be thinking about what you're saying necessarily. You have a thought process of where you're coming from and where you're going, and you just let it flow. But I do like if you can notice how his cadence changed, like you were saying, you got rid of all the likes and the ums and stuff like that to articulate and just let what's coming from your chest, what you believe, what you think, to just come out. I remember I struggled with that first on the previous video. I was talking about how I took a chance in relating with a female when I first started working back in 2020. And that was one of the things I remember I struggled with, just saying what I thought and what I instead of thinking about what's the right thing to say. There is no right thing to say. There's only what you think and what you believe. and what your perspective is. That's what makes you you, and that's what the other person wants to experience. They don't want to experience a textbook. They want to experience another person that they may be interested in. So yeah, but definitely notice his cadence change.
Out in this stage of my life. So, with that being said, what advice do you have on, I guess, standing in the discomfort of, you know, XYZ may not have the best reaction to this, or whatever the case may be, but this is what I feel I need to do for myself, and just standing on that.
I tell you what. First things first, I commend you for being self-aware and now trying to put it into that, right? I commend you for that. Second of all, surrender. Surrender. That's the first thing you can do. Surrender. Holding everything together, managing their reaction and their emotions, maintaining the relationship, forcing it to be one way is not a responsibility that I was ever meant to have. I took it on. I got good at it, but I was never meant to have it. Because the more the truth makes me uncomfortable, the more I want to let go of that dynamic of the relationship. The more I mature, the more I grow. I can't bear that discomfort anymore. It'll depress you, drain you, and ruin you. And it's honestly not better for the other person either. If you are the doctor who puts a Band-Aid on a broken arm, are you a good doctor? And is the patient healed?
Definitely not.
Neither of y'all benefit from bullshit. So the version of you that is thinking so small, that playing safe and being careful and biting your tongue is the better thing to do, in reality, it's not better for either of you. It's not even safer. Again, if you live on top of a volcano that is known to erupt, that's not safety. That is not safety. You are not safe. So you telling yourself it's safe because it's not erupting and it's not hot and the magma is not sliding down the hill. Stop lying to me.
One thing I was just thinking about is, where do some of these dynamics develop? Like, could it possibly be part of, when you were born? Remember he was talking about how I think he said he was the youngest of the siblings. For me, that's the complete opposite. I'm the oldest. And so, a lot of times when you're the oldest, you definitely the experimental. I know they talk about leadership and stuff like that, but your parents experiment on you and see because they're trying to figure out what works, and they're trying to figure out what works through your life. So a lot of times you could even have based on, I guess, your disposition, an adverse reaction to making yourself small or something like that, or something to the way that the young man is explaining is like the whole people pleasing, just going the route that everyone expects of you. But yeah, what do you guys think in the comments? What does the position that you're born in have to do with how some of these things play out?
So you are never safe. You are not safe. You can choose to live there, but at least not in delusion. Call it what it is. It is dangerous to stop people pleasing. It is dangerous to speak your mind. Call it what it is. It is dangerous. But I will be okay because I will stand for myself and I trust how I feel. So it is dangerous. It is a threat. But I am ready to take on that threat.
Mm.
When you go lift a weight, right? You don't tell the weight to be lighter. You don't please it to be lighter. The weight will stay the same and you can lift it or not. And in fact, when you reach it, reach for it, grab it and lift it up, you were never ready. You just were ready to make a decision. Because you can still lift the weight, struggle, your arms shake, you got to drop it, go down. Okay, that's fine. But stop convincing yourself that you'll ever be ready, that it's ever safe, and that it's something that it's not. Call it what it is. It is dangerous. That's why I'm uncomfortable. But does my discomfort mean I have to do nothing or be nothing or give up? Is that what that means? Maybe not. Maybe I can be afraid, uncomfortable, nervous as fuck, and still find the strength to accept how I feel and embrace how I feel. You see, there's a metaphor with a bull matador in that, let's watch a great video on this. It talked about how in history, people always, or not just in history, but religions have always used the slaying of a bull to symbolize growth. Greek mythology, I'm pretty sure there's a story in Christianity, etc. Slaying of a bull. And even the matador, who uses the red cape to make the bull come and chase him and swipes beyond it and etc. And the whole symbolism between slaying the bull or the matador having the red flag and the bull chasing him and him handling it gracefully is the metaphor of controlling chaos. You cannot control chaos. The matador never controls the bull. He embraces the bull, welcomes the bull, actually. Everybody's scared of a bull.
So you guys, that's an interesting illustration, but you guys know that, like in the Bible, right? It said that the darkness was, the earth was in disarray, but the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters, and then God spoke. I just feel like that's where, some of the thoughts that I've been having about this thing about the phrase I am, and how awareness is so much of how God works through us. What was I thinking about? The Bible says something like you are who you think you are. As a man thinks of himself, so is he. And so what does that have to do with controlling chaos? Well, as there's so many different things in the world. I was just talking to my dad about this. Like, as a man, you stand on what you can control, which is not the outside. It's not the world. The outside world is only your perspective and the decisions that you can make. And so rolling with the punches is essential to controlling chaos, because, my dad used the example the other day about a swimmer. You could be an Olympic swimmer, but if you're in the middle of the ocean and you're trying to go against the waves and the currents and the turrets, you're not gonna make it because you can't control that, basically, which is the moral of the illustration. You would have to, take a breath when it brings you up, and when it brings you down, you have to be thinking about how can you pivot with, going through the situation and the circumstance. But that relates to, consciousness and awareness, because oftentimes a lot of times we speak to ourselves and to our situation, whether it's out loud or in our thoughts, in our mind. We speak probably, whether it's ill or whether it's above and beyond the circumstance. We use the phrase "fake it till you make it," but it oftentimes probably has more utility than we would imagine, because you have to talk yourself up and talk yourself into new situations and stuff like that. But ultimately, you have to believe it to embody it to the point where, again, you can say, I am something, because your awareness, again, has been developed, and you accept, like he said, surrender. You accept that you're not responsible for X, but you can put your foot forward in a way. And that's ultimately some of the meta behind even this channel, because I was struggling with feeling disappointed and defeated in X, Y, and Z. But without me stopping, thinking about what's this possibly could not work and stuff like that, I wouldn't be able to embrace, just taking it day by day, doing the executable and learning in the process. But sorry, that was a yapathon.
Charging at them. A matador welcomes the bull uses something that makes the bull chase him specifically. And it's the metaphor of slaying the bull or embracing the bull, welcoming it and dealing with it, is that you're not making chaos less chaotic. You're not making the stress of the situation less stressful. You are choosing to be a person who accepts the bull, who accepts that it is dangerous, who accepts that they can die, get hurt, get harmed. You accept it and embrace it.
Right. But, Taekwondo goes on to continue to speak to this young gentleman. And the other thing that I like that he said, without wasting too much more of you guys' time, is that, he had to stop looking for guidance per se and direction from people and from the outside, and really consider, what if it's him and what if it's you? That's one thing that I want us to take away, is what if it's you and what if it's me? And what if this whole game that we're playing is about accepting who we are and becoming more of that true expression, ultimately to give glory to God. But, it's just some things to think about. So with that being said, let me know what you guys think. Willie PK. Until next time, peace.